Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is the Piracy Show. Now, originally I was going to talk about this ship right here, but then I thought, nah, we're going to leave that one alone for a little while. We're gonna avoid that particular hot potato for a little bit. And instead, I wanted to talk about the Drake Buccaneer. Now, it's very difficult to actually kind of theory craft on something that does not even exist, on something that is more or less just words on a page. And so, what I kind of wanted to do with the show is discuss what I would do. If someone came to me and they said, "Listen, you're the dude, you're the man. Tell us what the Drake Buccaneer is supposed to be. Tell us what the Drake Buccaneer should look like, how it should handle, how it should be equipped, so on and so forth." And so I just for the sake of it, just for the fun of it, what I'm going to do is describe the Drake Buccaneer as Minion Soldier would implement it in the game. So, without further ado, let's get started. So here you got two Drake ships that would be pretty much ballpark in the same size arena as this ship. And the one thing that really sticks out about the Drake ship, the one thing that kind of unifies them across the design, is that overall cockpit design. And so as for appearance, like that would be kind of it would be my starting point. So what I would make it look like, how much they say, oh, the Vanguard was made to look like the P-38. What I would make the Drake Buccaneer to look like is this. I would basically make the ship look like a sci-fi Drake version of the Huey Cobra. Now, just hear me out. First thing you know, obviously, the rotors, chop them right off. Bring the top of the chopper in line with the top of the engine pods. Just take that whole section right off. You would want to keep the landing skids, because that way, when you got to land, if you got to do it quickly, you don't have to worry about waiting for landing gear to deploy or anything like that. Build them with enough flex in them so that it can take a bit of a bump when it lands. Something durable, cheap, low tech, easy to use. And you would also keep the tandem cockpit. Now, one thing you would want to do is probably raise that tail up and make a section underneath it where you could snap on one of those store-all storage boxes like you have on an Aurora. And you'd probably keep the little winglets on the side. And the reason why I want a tandem cockpit is the one thing that I would do to kind of set this ship apart is I would make it a two-man ship. A gunner and a pilot. So the pilot sits up in the back, sits up a little bit higher. He can kind of see the situation, manage it. And what he's doing is he's flying the ship around, he's maneuvering, he's counter-maneuvering, he's circle strafing, he's got his eyes on everything. And facing forward, you have the gunner. Now, underneath the nose, I would put in a mount, a gimbaled mount that can hold 4 size 1 guns in a very tight cluster. So basically, wherever the gunner is pointing those 4 guns, if you're hitting with one, you're hitting with all of them. So regardless of what you're using, whether it be Omniskis, Badgers, or is it Badgers? Is Badger size 2? No, Bulldogs. Bulldogs, whatever type of weapon you want to use. Basically, yeah, if you're hitting with one, you're hitting with all of them. And I would probably restrict it down to about 2 or 4 missiles underneath the wings, but I would also give it the rocket pods off the Mustang Delta. So that way you've got a ship. As far as speed goes, I would probably take it up to about 240 meters a second, something like that. And so what you would have is a lightly armored, very fast, very nimble ship that can also kind of haul away a little bit of cargo. It's good for making quick landings, like whether you got to land on a space station or maybe in the cargo bay of a much larger ship where you can kind of get in there. You can quickly hop out of it. You got your gun. You can go do whatever you got to do, come back. But you also have that unique feature in that the weapon system being a tandem system. Now, if you're just a single pilot flying it, you're just one person, then of course you can control those guns as a normal gimbal, and then you would have that tight gimbaled cluster of weapons. which I think would also be a benefit to just people who want to fly solo, or if you're flying around as two people, you have the pilot and the gunner more or less looking the same way. So the pilot kind of knows what the gunner is aiming at most of the time. And so he can kind of help the gunner out instead of being a situation where, like even here on the Vanguard, one person's sitting up high and he can be shooting behind the ship, whereas the pilot's kind of maneuvering to do whatever. And so he's not really aware of what the gunner's seeing, so he can't really help the gunner out to try and keep things steady or to keep things at least in their field of view. So I think that this way the pilot and the gunner would be more or less kind of thinking in the same direction, looking in the same direction, and working towards the same goal and not working against one another. And I think that that would be like a really awesome thing to bring in the Star Citizen universe. Now, you might disagree with the appearance, and that's fine. I mean, I'm just saying, that kind of fits the Drake look a little bit with the elongated cockpit. But I mean, obviously, there's a lot of ways you can take it, and in as much as what you're looking at here is as closely related to the P-38, obviously, there's a lot of room for some changes and some improvements. But in general, that's what I would do with the Drake Buccaneer. That's how I would make the Drake Buccaneer look if I were in charge of the project. So with that kind of setup, I just really think that the Drake Buccaneer would be something unique. It would bring something unique to the battlefield in the same way that the Xeon Scout, the Super Hornet, and the Saber definitely each bring their own little niche and their own little speciality to the battlefield. I think that that would be something that would set the Drake Buccaneer apart, but still keep it at that magic $100 price range. But I mean, obviously, different people are going to have different ideas. I mean, this ship here, perfect example. And I mean, if it was like as I described it, if it was something fairly close to that, it might even cause me to reevaluate. I mean, depending on how the Vanguard goes, it might even cause me to reevaluate owning a Vanguard. I mean, if it was something that cool, I might even revisit my little theory about having a little, a while ago I was talking about the little Avenger fleet that I was cooking, and then I ended up going a different way with it because I decided to be a little conservative. But I still like that idea, and who knows if the Drake Buccaneer actually turned out to be something really kick-ass like that, and this ship continued on its current course of being, fairly ho-hum. It would be something that would definitely cause me to reevaluate how I plan to build my own little personal fleet in the Star Citizen universe. Anyways, once again, and as always, that's just my opinion. You may agree, you may disagree. Love to hear from you in the comments down below. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.
Quantum travel initiated.